Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can minimize a really busy pattern in a pretty patterned paper. I picked the favorite flowers from the Stampin' Up! Celebration catalog. When I first saw this paper, I was like, I don't know about that. That's awfully busy. But I decided to take a chance and order it and started playing with it. Now it's probably one of my favorite papers. So I'm going to switch the camera real quick and we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have 3 for you. So the first card is this one. And this is a sketch that I found, I believe it's TGIF challenges. I love sketch challenges. You can find them all over the place, Pinterest, Facebook, everywhere. And so you see that there's just a small piece of paper on a very white background. And then by putting a sentiment and a piece over the top of it, you've minimized this really busy paper. And then I chose to emboss in copper on that. So this card is May the Good You Do Come Back to You. And while these are really pale, they are fresh freesia opal rounds. And then on the inside, I brought in another small strip of the paper, and you matter to so many. So just a fun little card that you can send to someone. On the second one, I took a piece that measured 2 inches by 5¼ inches and I cut it in varying widths and then spaced them apart just a tad. So just this little bit of white in between it really breaks up that busy paper. And since my happy birthday was too long to fit here, I used a marker and I used the paintbrush side of the marker and this isn't the stamp I used, but I just simply brushed it over the word happy and stamped that 3 different times and then cleaned it up, dried it off, and stamped birthday. For my rhinestones, these are the basic rhinestones, and I took a dark alcohol marker from Stampin' Up! In Old Olive to match the card base and the ink that I had stamped Happy Birthday in. And I just colored those rhinestones. So you can get any color rhinestone you want simply by coloring them. You do need to use an alcohol or a permanent marker to do that. Our water-based markers, these markers, will not stay. It will not stick to the non-porous surface of the rhinestones. And then on the inside, I brought in, again, another tiny little strip of paper. And my favorite saying right now is, I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. And since I'm always late at sending out birthday cards, that's so perfect for me. And then this third one is a fancy fold. And the beauty of this one is when you open it up, you can see both sides of the designer series paper. And it breaks up, again, it breaks up this really busy pattern here. And what you see the most of is this geometric pattern. And there is a hidden magnet behind these folds that holds it closed. So this is the one I'm going to demonstrate. So I'll put the information is in the description, so you won't need to write it down. But I pulled in the Something Fancy again because I liked this, the Deepest Sympathy font. And then with the Sending Support, this is a celebration set, so you can only get this through the end of February. And it's Sending Loving Thoughts and Prayers. I thought that was a nice one for the inside. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Donna Goodwin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Brookings, South Dakota. And if you do not already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. So I chose to use Blackberry Bliss, and this time you don't need a piece that folds, but it measures 4¼ inches by 5½, and it's a flat piece, and that's just to give some weight to the card. And then I pre-cut from the Something Fancy dies one of the labels for the inside of our card. So for this piece here, this piece of basic white measures 3¾ inches by 5 inches. And then I took the slightly smaller die from the Something Fancy dies, and I cut a white one out to make our label. Then you'll need a piece of designer series paper. Like I said, this is a pretty busy pattern. And this measures 4 inches by 12 inches. So you can get 3 of these out of 1 sheet of paper. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, and we're going to score this at 3 1/4 inches from both sides. So I'm going to score this at 3 1/4 inches. I'm not going to press too hard because this is Designer Series paper and I don't want to tear it. And it is really hard to see it as well. And then on the other side, we're going to score again at 3 1/4 inches. And then we're going to fold those in. And give them a good crease. So basically we're turning our pattern paper into a gatefold, but it's going to overlap a bit. So we have a gatefold that overlaps. Now we're going to take, and I'm just using a white chalk pencil because it'll be easy to erase. This is 4 inches, and I want to put a little tick mark halfway at the 2-inch mark. And then I'm going to come in and along the top edge, I'm going to put another tick mark at 2 inches and at the bottom edge. Sorry, I was off camera there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So you probably can't see these little tick marks real well. But in real life, they're pretty easy to see. So I'm going to come to the other side. And again, I'm going to come in 2 inches. That one probably shows up a little bit better. From the top and the bottom. And 2 inches up the side. So let's see if they show up better on the dark. See, they show up a little bit better there on the dark. I'm going to take this ruler and I'm going to line it up from point to point. You could put it back in your trimmer and line it up on the groove of that, but a ruler works just as good. And I'm just going to give it a fold there on the edge and then fold it down and give it a good burnish. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to do this on all 4 corners. If I were using cardstock, I would definitely want to put it in and use the groove of my trimmer to do this. But paper is pretty easy to fold, so it's not a perfect match there, but that's okay. It's a handmade card, right? And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And we're going to give that a little bit of a burnish. So then when this all folds over, we still have some overlap, and this is where our magnets are going to go. We're going to hide them underneath here. So I'm not going to glue these down just yet. So let's go ahead and do our stamping, and then we'll come back and do all of our assembly. And I chose Blackberry Bliss. So we'll stamp the front greeting. I probably should have put a little bit more pressure on that end. It kind of gives it a slightly ombre look. Now I'm going to stamp this right in the middle, but off to the left because I want it to be hidden underneath this section here. I don't want it to show up here or down here. So I'm just going to come into the left and in the center. And that's all the stamping, because we're going to let our pretty paper do all the heavy lifting for us. So before I glue this in, I'm going to work with my magnets. We just need 2 of these little mini magnets. I get these off of Amazon. And I know, I can just kind of put my finger here. I know that I want this magnet right about in here. So not right at the tip, but kind of right here, because on this side, I'm going to put it right as tight as I can into the tip. So I'm just going to come in, and by looking at this pattern paper, it's right about there. So it's just a little bit in. So on this side, I'm going to put a little bit in. So we're going to put a mini glue dot on it. And we're going to put it just a bit in here. So right about there. And then I'm going to open up this side. I'm going to close this. I'm going to take this magnet and let it find its spot. Put a glue dot on that one. And then fold these 2 pieces up. So we have a magnet inside each of these corners. Now I can glue these little triangles down. And I don't even need it in here. I just need it on these 2 outside edges from the folds up. Then we'll just fold these over and they will cover up that magnet. And I'm just going to hold them for a moment. We'll just take this block and set it on here for a minute. Not a full minute, just a little bit, just long enough to get this glue to dry. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So just need it where it's going to attach to this side. This fold is called a, oh, I wish I could remember who I found it from. She did a double point card. And on her double point card, the point came from here in and out. It was still 2 inches, but came from here out. I added a bit in here so that they would overlap. But then she had a lot more white, and she actually did a portrait. But she also had some other elements on it, a lot more elements on it. But I wanted just the paper to do the work here. And on her inside with the double point, you didn't see any of this because this piece right here was snug right up into here. So now we'll adhere the inside. So I modified her double point card just slightly and kind of turned it into a double point gatefold card. And I kind of have to fold this so I can see where I'm at here. This is why I'm using liquid glue, so that I can slide it around a bit. There we go. Now we can glue this to our card base. So with it all folded up, it's a traditional mat of 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Or excuse me, 4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And that cardstock gives us a little bit of weight. And then all we have to do is adhere our tag on the front. And then actually, I want to fold that way. So I'm going to take my chalk pencil again. I'm going to line this up. I'm going to turn it this way to make it easier for me here. I'm going to line this up kind of center. And then I'm going to slide slightly down. And I'm just going to draw an edge around here. I know, whoops, oh, this isn't the side I want to do that. Correct me on that. I wanted to go the other direction. So I'm just going to erase that. I'm going to hold this kind of in the center, hold the two pieces together, float them back, slide this part down ever so slightly. Draw my pencil mark. I know I want adhesive only on this side. And this way you know you're not getting adhesive on the wrong side here. So I'm going to flip it around, and I'm actually going to glue it this way. I'm going to come into where that mark is and slide ever so slightly up. So now I don't have to erase that pencil mark because we covered it up anyway. And then the two magnets will hold this card closed. We'll bring in some of the 2021-2023 in color opal rounds. And I'm just going to put 2 of them on here. I know that's violating the rule of thirds, but I think 2 looks really nice. Where here, where I tried to follow the rule of thirds, this one little one up here just kind of looks out of place to me. So there you have a fun, okay, not that we necessarily would think of sympathy as fun because it's not, but it's just a different fold. And what it does is it minimizes this busy pattern paper. So you have a sympathy card, a birthday card, and just an any occasion card. So 3 different ways in which you can minimize your busy pattern paper so that it still comes out into a pretty card. And all of these cards are actually pretty easy and fast to put together because I've been talking and we're still at less than 20 minutes. So if you weren't talking, if I wasn't talking, I could have these cards put together rather quickly. So I think you'll enjoy those folds, and I hope you do try them out. Please do come back and join me again sometime. You can follow me on Facebook at Winged Horse Designs. You can follow me here on YouTube. You found me at Winged Horse Designs. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And this is my February host code. Please use that when you're placing any order under $150. So have a wonderful week, everyone. And I will be back next Friday with another uploaded video. Happy trails.